Now, who am I in the first place? Why am I here talking about this, and how can I talk about this anyway? All right. So as I mentioned, I came across this subject in 1992 when I was traveling in Munich in Germany. I was in Dublin City University at the time studying personnel management as part of a business studies degree course. Okay. So I went traveling just to find out how to sort out a few problems I had in life, and just to kind of, I don't know, get out of Dublin, get out of the country, just to kind of get a perspective on where my life is going and what I needed to do and how to sort out my own problems and help with other people. Okay, so I came across this in '92. I'd been searching for something on the self-improvement line. I'd read books on self-improvement before, different subjects, and I found when I was introduced to this subject, I decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. I've never heard of it before, I'll give it a go. And so I used this to help other people first. That was my thing, because I've always had an interest in helping others. And then I've come second to that. But I learned then that, you know what, Vincent, you need to do some work on yourself as well. So I eventually got around to using Dianetics on myself too, and it made a huge, huge difference. And I got stable, permanent results. And I'm here tonight because I want you to get the same results. I want you to get the same gains that I did. All right, that's my reason for being here. So let me just tell you a little bit about this narcissistic experience that I have had. And just a little example, I've had very many of these examples throughout my life and since the early 90s when I started this. So my own little sample story is this. I was, a young man, very young man, when I came across this subject and very enthusiastic about telling other people about it. I wanted to help people, and I still have that motivation to help other people, to tell people to improve themselves and to get them going. You know, don't necessarily listen to what other people are doing to put you down and try to really sort people out. But I had somebody in my life who used to regularly come to me and in a very friendly way, very nice way, while explaining there's nothing particularly wrong with him, telling me how the subject I've chosen is wrong, the path I've chosen is wrong, my attitude is wrong, I'm not good enough, and just generally and in a very friendly way, kind of cutting away at my personal confidence. Now, after I had those experiences, I would definitely feel very down, I would get very annoyed, and it would really shake my confidence in myself after every one of those experiences. Now, at the time, I thought, you know what, there is nothing wrong with other people. It's not him, it must be me. So at the time, I made it worse for myself because I'm looking at this guy going, look, okay, he's just the way he is, and it's just me. It's just me, and that's the way it is, and so forth. All right. But every time I did that, I kind of caved myself in a bit more, and this had a massive effect on my general ability to be motivated. You know, I used to fluctuate a lot. I would be very interested in helping, and then I'd lose interest, and then I'd be interested, and I'd be kind of going up and down like a roller coaster. And so it affected me in mainly my job, getting things done, my studies, and whether I wanted to hang around with people or not. Now, I've never been a very, very extroverted person. I'm actually quite a quiet guy, really, to be honest with you. But I used to kind of go really down into myself and question what I was doing and am I doing the right thing or not? And it would really, really affect my morale. Okay, so that's just my example. What I'd like to ask you is, obviously, you're here on this particular webinar because maybe there's something or some situation in your life that you would like to improve. So I want to ask you, have you had any similar experience? In other words, like when you decided to come to this webinar, what did you want to find out? Like, what is the problem that you're having and what effect is it having on you in your life? Would you mind popping that into the chat for me? Because I'd be interested to see. And I like to find out what people's comments are so that I can kind of either add to the webinar or I can cut pieces from it depending on what's relevant, you know. So if you don't mind, if you could pop into the chat the answer to this question. Have you had a similar situation, or do you have a similar situation, and how does it affect you? Just maybe one or two words, like, yes, uncle, confidence, you know. So what is your personal situation that caused you to want to come to this webinar, and how is it affecting you? If you don't mind popping that into the chat, that would be fantastic. So just take a minute to do so, and I'll just have a little read of the comments in just a moment, okay? Okay. All right, so we got one coming in. So just take a moment, type into the chat what's your problem situation that you're having in your life, or that you've, okay, if you don't want to be personal about it, you can maybe just put down something that you've seen in life and how it affects you. In other words, what experience have you had with a narcissistic personality, and what effect has it had on you? Okay? And hi, Christian Clark from YouTube. Good to have you on board. Thank you. Okay, so Darcy, mentally, emotionally abusive boyfriend. Okay, thank you very much. Loza, yes, self-esteem, self-abuse, divorcing, narcissist. Okay, got it. Relationship area. Ex-partner, I'm doing everything wrong, educated. Lovely, Andy. Perfect. Andy, I'm glad you gave that example. We'll go over that in a few minutes as well. It's a very popular one. Okay, again, relationships. Joan, clients, narcissistic relationships. Okay, thank you very much, Joan. Emer had to heal from narcissistic abuse 2 years after leaving narcissistic ex. The mental torture and trauma left me on realizing my mother is mine. Okay, got it. So relationship and family. Thank you very much, Emer. Bram had to deal with narcissistic people. Had to deal with arrogance. Got it. Paul, an abusive, violent abuser, told I'm worthless, told to kill myself, beat me to hospital. Okay, thank you, Paul. Rory, low self-esteem. Thank you. Trina, lacking confidence. Okay. Martina, question your own judgment because of its sins. Yes, we're going to go over that, particularly. Thank you very much, Martina. Elizabeth, used to be confident, believe in myself before married. Nice. Got it? Okay, thank you very much, Elizabeth. Veronica, dad, family abused, mentally, physically for many years. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. So then relationship and family. Thank you, Veronica. Trina, neighbour. Linda, relationship. Thank you. Korahisa, verbally. Thank you. D, NPD and BPD. NPD and BPD. Abusive ex-husband. Okay, D, I'm not quite sure. If you could send me a personal message on what those things mean, that would be great. Relationship. Okay, thank you, Rosaline. Just broke up every argument. Okay, thank you very much, Danielle. Traumas, forget them, build up self-worth. Thank you. Geraldine, narcissistic, no relationship with my mother. Sinead, used to always make excuses for her behaviour. Okay, good, thank you very much. Sinead, got all that. Very good. Jennifer, child of narcissistic mother, divorced narcissistic. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. Jennifer and Vicky, emotional mental abuse, had really affected my confidence. Okay, thank you very much. Vicky. Bridget, ex always runs down everything I did with kids, house, even how I drive, still makes me feel inadequate, all the aspects of life. Okay, thank you. Low self-esteem due to fighting parents. Thank you very much for that person sent me a direct message. Gail, emotional abuse in a relationship and also from parent. Okay, got it. So we were kind of, I'm not finished reading it, but yeah, we're kind of getting the flavour of, it's kind of relationships, ex-relationships, current relationships, family, and how it affects your self-morale and self-esteem. Thank you very much, Gail. Veronica, I want to build myself well, so I won't ever meet this kind of people again. I won't be a perfect victim for them. Okay, perfect, good. We're going to help you there, Veronica. Abdre, we're separating and trying to create distance. Kids always behaving. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, kids can tend to, you know, when they see their parents operate in a certain way, they actually can take on traits of the person. And there's very interesting information about that in this book, which I'll tell you about at the end of this. Okay, thank you very much, Abdrea. Abdullah, wish to recover, maintains confidence and self-esteem. Thank you. Yes, I've had experience with narcissistic studying subject. Thank you, Anna. CPTSD, depression, anxiety. Okay, got it. Thank you, Veronica. Can't seem to snap out of the trauma bond due to low self-worth. Thank you, Rory. I'd like to know what in me attracted narcissistic personality in my life. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. D, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, diagnosed after HSE. Okay, thank you very much, D. That's perfect. Okay, folks, thank you so much for those examples. Okay, now, it's very clear that we've got really two areas, and we've got the relationship, okay, and that's basically partners, boyfriends, and also work relationships, and we've also got family, okay, and then what we see then as the effects, what's coming up here is basically self-worth, confidence, Okay? It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting to see from the comments that, people are experiencing the same kind of things in life and in your life at the moment. And obviously you're here to get help with that. And so I'm really glad that you made it, because what I'm going to go over is really, really important to help you to understand a little bit about what's happening here. All right? Okay. Now, to tell you a little bit more about how I handled my own situation, I came across this. I remember I told you in the early 90s, and what I learned was that, let's say there's me, and I'm all happy, and I come to somebody who is narcissistic, and we're talking about narcissistic. Okay, look, if you look in the Oxford Dictionary, narcissist means somebody who has an excessive interest or love of themselves and their appearance. That's the basic definition. And you know what? There's nothing massively wrong with that. It can be annoying to certain people, but that's the basic definition. But it has grown into something where a narcissistic person, because of their own high ideas of themselves, they can't look inward. They just can't look inward. It's always looking at you. It's always looking at how you're to blame. And there's never an ability to look in, like, okay, how can I change myself? Is there something I'm doing that's wrong? And because, per this definition of narcissist, they can't look inwards, it's never their fault. It's always you. There must be something wrong with you. Right? You're so upset with what I did. Well, why are you so upset? What did you do? It's all this kind of reversing it back on you. Like, you could have a narcissistic person in your life that's doing something wrong. Okay? Like, they're just saying nasty things all the time. And when you pull them up on it, when you say, listen, don't do that, please, they can turn it back on you and go, well, what's wrong with you? You're this and you're that, and make you so introverted that you end up blaming yourself for it. And this is one of the key tools of what's going on with a narcissist, is you're trying to say something to them, and they twist it around to get you to have a look into yourself. And when that happens, often you don't spot it, and it's too late. So you end up going downhill. Okay, that's like a moustache. You end up going into a bad mood. Okay? So what used to happen with me is, when I met such a personality who is critical, controlling, gaslighting. Gaslighting meaning the same thing. It's basically making you out like you're the crazy one. All right? And so what used to happen was, I'd be doing fine, and then I'd go on this roller coaster. So I'd be doing grand, and then I'd go down. And then I come back up again, and then I go down, up and down, up and down. And this is one of the major traits when you're connected to somebody who is putting you down like that, is you are going to roller coaster. In other words, you're going to have days when you're feeling really good, you're really enthusiastic, you're really happy, and then you're going to experience this roller coaster. Okay? And it is going to affect your life. So one of the things I learned early on is that, yes, there's an internal solution, which I'm going to go in with you in a few minutes, okay? But there is also a little bit of external handling needed, okay? So if you've got this situation with a person who's constantly putting you down, what you have to do early on, okay? What you have to do early on is either handle the situation, or disconnect. Okay? These are the early on handlings that I learned, and they are really, really valuable. Now, honestly, when you see these two things, people kind of automatically go to this one, because it kind of sounds like the easiest one. You just disconnect. You leave the relationship, or you move out, or you cut the person off Facebook, or you never talk to the person again. And it's kind of like an easy handling. But with family and relationships, and when there's kids involved, it's not so easy. It is not so easy to do that. And especially if you decided you're going to disconnect, but then you can't. It's even more difficult. So what I learned early on is to basically handle it. Try to handle it. Like, when people come to me looking for advice about how to handle these situations, the first thing I recommend is get a little bit of education on it first, and then work out handling. Okay? Handle a situation. Okay? Now, that might involve taking the person aside and sitting down with them for multiple cups of tea and explaining that, look, please don't call me an idiot every 2 hours, because it doesn't make me feel good. Do you understand that? Yes, I understand that. Good. So please don't do that again. All right? Anyway, how's your day? You know, and handle it, and continue to handle it. Now, obviously, every individual has a right to communicate or not with whomever you please. Okay? So you do have a right to disconnect. You know, if somebody is not changing and it's continuously, you do have a right to disconnect. To say, okay, that's it, take care of yourself, I'm leaving the job, I need a divorce, or whatever. But honestly, what I found has worked much better in terms of not going for the last resort is to try and handle it as best you can. And obviously, if it's not handling, it is something that is going to have to be this step is going to have to be taken. But I'm going to go into this a little bit more with you. So I learned early on that, and it was very, very valuable to me, I was able to spot them very quickly. Learn how to spot them, because you'll find that they're introverting you. They're putting you in. It's always you. Handle a situation is the first thing, and I've used that very, very successfully. I've had to disconnect on a few occasions and just say, that's it now. We're not going down the same road, me and you. And I've had to do that, and that has really helped me. But I suppose the biggest gain for me has been, and the stability that has helped me with future situations, has been to handle my own stuff here. And I'm going to go into that very shortly. So let me just ask you a quick question before we move on. Have you ever had this situation where you've got a person like this and they're just not changing? Okay? Can you just pop a little message in the chat saying yes or no? Where you've got a narcissistic person and they just won't change. Okay? Because that's the biggest problem I have come across when people are trying to handle this, is they're trying to deal with a person who just won't change, no matter what you do. No matter how many times you've told them, no matter how upset you've gotten, no matter how many problems it's caused, they just will not change. Has anybody had that? Okay. Oh my God, there's lots of messes here. Okay. Right. Okay, I got, yeah, I mean, you took over for me here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, understood. Okay, Helen, yeah, this is the point. The problem when you're talking to a really, truly narcissistic person, as I mentioned, they can't look inwards. It's always going to be looking at you, at how you're the problem. And you might as well be talking to the wall. But you've experienced this, okay? So it is true that in these cases, when you've got a truly narcissistic person, the problem is they just don't change. But the reason I'm mentioning this to you is people can behave in a narcissistic way, but they're not necessarily narcissistic. In other words, you could have a teenager who's being very controlling and very, because of their own secrets. They don't want you to find out. They don't want you to find out something about them, so they start criticizing you. So this is also what can happen, okay? Is that when somebody does something bad on you, they want to withhold that, and they can become quite critical of you. All right? So there is a reason for that. There's a whole other webinar on that particular issue. But that can also cause the person to be very critical when they've got their own secrets and you're nearly finding out about them, and then they become very critical of you. Okay? I read a really nice, I scroll through Facebook, not very often, but just once a day. And I saw a really nice little post thing. Morgan Freeman was in it. I don't know if he actually made this quote or not, but it said, the reason they don't talk to you is because they owe you an apology. It's kind of around that area. So if you've got somebody who's done bad things to you, they usually withhold themselves and they can become critical of you. Okay? So this is why the first approach would be to handle the situation. Because with somebody like that, you can usually go, listen, come on, come clean, let's sort this out. What's going on? And for somebody like that, you can actually deal with it. But if you're talking about a truly narcissistic, suppressive one, just wants to suppress you all the time, put you down in life, this thing about not changing is a big thing. Okay? So let's see. So thank you very much, Helen. That was good. You brought me to my point there. But I do not seem to be able to stay away from my boyfriend. It's like a trauma bond. Okay, yeah, Darcy, after this webinar, there's a set of modules I'm going to tell you about. And in module number 2, we go into that in a lot more detail, exactly how it is that you, because of something that happened to you, you bond with a particular personality type, and it's very hard to escape from that type of personality. It's a little bit too deep to go into on this particular webinar, but it is covered on module number 2. Sorry, module 2, yes. Okay, thanks Helen, your mother. Darcy, yes. Abdullah, Vicky, yes. Linda, yes. Loza, yes. Did fight or fright? Okay. Olivia, yes. Thank you. Trina, Olivia, Margaret, your dad, Sean, yes. Andy, Korahiza, Rosaline, yes. Danielle, Dee, Tanya, Carol, yes. They will never change. Okay. Gail, thanks. Veronica, Gail, they will never change once I realize that helped. Okay. Good. Emer, thank you. Martina, blames me for everything. He is never wrong, smears me to everybody. Okay, and just to take that little example there. Again, a person can start off non-narcissistic, and because of things that they've done, they can become very, very critical of you. But usually that needs to be handled, and so you're a human being. You don't have to put up with this. If somebody is criticizing you every day, you just don't have to put up with it, and that's it. So I'm glad you kind of wrote that down there, Linda. Thank you. Elizabeth, yes, for 30 years, disconnected. They won't go away. I've said many times, leave me alone. Okay, Vicky, thank you very much. And this is why it's kind of hard to disconnect from some areas, and so this is why the handles sometimes need to be done instead. Yes, they never change. Thank you, Anna. Default setting. Thank you, Martina. Veronica, they don't feel need to change. They don't have memory. They don't feel need to change, and they don't have memory. They've done wrong. They've done wrong another day. They know what they do, what they've done. Yeah, they tell you that you need a therapist and you're a problem. You're sick and all that. Yeah. Thank you very much. Don't think they ever change. They just convince you that they will. Then you feel even worse. That's why he's not living here anymore and 3 kids. Okay, thank you. Grieving to anger. Okay, thank you. I got that message from, I think, Facebook it was. Found out my way later on in relationship. Okay, thank you. Roy. Sinead. My mother won't admit it, but I actually got more nasty and vindictive and started dissing myself. Tried over love bombing me. Okay, love that word. Didn't fall for it. Martina's silent treatment sounds familiar. Okay, challenged mother on her behaviour and she got very nasty. Thank you, Helen. Elizabeth, unbond from this personality type. Yes, Elizabeth, it is. What can a person do when he or she gets stimulated by a narcissistic person and therefore become reactive to him? Yeah, okay, good. We're going to go over all that. So basically, we've got these things. Now, the basic thing here is one of the key things, and it's why I asked you the question, is that when you've got a truly narcissistic person, the chances of getting them to change, it's very tough. It's very tough. You want to waste years and years of your life, okay? And it's very, very difficult in some cases if you've really got a truly narcissistic person. However, it is possible to change yourself. And your ability to handle these people or to handle the situation that you're in at the moment. So it is possible to make yourself stronger so that you can deal with the person in front of you or deal with future narcissists that you will run into. Look, the world is full of all sorts of different types of people. It's not, it's not a walk in the park. You move to a new job, there's often somebody there that's kind of a similar type of personality. So you're usually going to run into such personalities if you want to do anything broad or big in life, okay? So it is possible to make yourself stronger and make yourself more clever, more intelligent and happier so that you're able to handle these type of situations, all right? Now, the next thing I want to ask you, has anybody heard this before? You can just give me a yes on this one, okay? Or a no. I'm rubbing out pieces of the guy's head. Here, get rid of the whole thing. Okay, have you ever heard this before? They've ruined my life. Okay? Oh no, what I meant to ask you was, have you ever kind of had this idea before? They have ruined my life. If it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for that person, then my life would be totally different. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be so stressed. If it wasn't for them, I'd still have my confidence. If it wasn't for them, I would be, I'd be happy. If they weren't even in my life, I'd be happy. Have you ever had that kind of consideration? They've ruined my life. If it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't be the nasty person that I am, or I wouldn't be so stressed or anxious or worried all the time. Okay? All right. Okay, folks, thank you so much. And lots of yeses coming in. Emer, glad you did the healing. Great. Veronica, yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Bridget, Veronica, and everybody else, Rose, Olivia, Linda, and so forth. Okay. Very good. Very good. Anna, narcs keep coming back to you. You've got to learn the lesson and not let them back. Okay, good. Isn't that about behavior? Okay, good. Change the way you reacted. Very good. 100% Rory. Okay, so now here's the question I have for you, right? You're going to run into these types of personalities in life. If you're in that type of a situation at the moment, yes, if you handle it successfully, that's perfect. But if you disconnect, the chances of running into such a personality in the future is actually quite high because they're around. They're around. And the question to ask is this: why is it that they have such an effect on you? Why is it they can control you so easily? Why is it that just by saying something, they can send you into yourself and you start thinking about yourself? Why is it that they can make you so upset so easily and so cleverly? Why is that? You see, because often you ask yourself, why do I react so much? And somebody made a comment there, I changed the way I react to them. Because it's the reactions that you have as well that they can manipulate in order to get you to be upset or to go down the road that they want you to go down. All right, I've had this so many times in life. I've tried to do something new and enjoying and interesting. And you always get someone who's going, hey, are you sure that you're doing the right thing now? Huh? I don't think you should do that. That's a very, all sorts of comments and try to manipulate your thinking into you persuading yourself that you're not good enough. So why is it? Why do they have so much control? And I'm going to tell you exactly why and what to do about it. The reason that a narcissistic person has and can have so much control over you in your life, okay, there's you, and you're feeling happy, and the narcissist just comes around and with a beautiful smile. I was trying to duplicate there the Mona Lisa smile, but it's not working very well. Okay, it's terrible Mona Lisa smile. With a lovely smile, they tell you how you're no good. It's all your fault. You're a bit crazy anyway. It's just the time of the month. You always get upset at the time of the month. That's why you're so narky. Little things like the ding, 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 or you're just like your mother, or you never change, or you're a bit lula, There's a narcissist and there's you, and with a lovely smile telling you that it's all your fault, and you should really crawl back into your hole. All they're doing, and this is key, the only power that a narcissistic person has over you is their ability to press the buttons that you have stored in a little package, which we call in Dianetics the reactive mind. The only power they have to control your emotions, the way you think, your thoughts, make you upset, make you angry, is the buttons that you have contained in this thing called the reactive mind. Now, what is the reactive mind? Your reactive mind, basically there are two parts of your mind. There is, and by the way, when we're talking about the mind, I have a pretty strong stance on something. I'm not into this whole brain theory and how it's all a chemical imbalance in your brain, and this chemical goes with that chemical, and you know what? If you're upset, we're going to give you a little label which says you've got emotional upset disorder. Or if you can't stop drinking coffee, you know what? We'll give you a little label. We're going to call you it's too much drinking coffee disorder. Or if you wear wine shirts, you've got obsessive wine shirt disorder. Or if you are married, you have obsessive need to connect with somebody disorder. Okay, there are so many labels that people can put on you that are just the biggest load of garbage. And the reason I say that is because usually with these disorders, there's usually a pill that goes with that, and a theory that it's all a chemical imbalance in your brain, and that's the problem. this chemical isn't matching with that chemical, and so therefore the chemicals in your brain, and it would just drive you mad, even thinking about this, because it's just nonsense, in my opinion. It's just nonsense. Now, it isn't untrue that if your brain is damaged, that's not going to affect your coordination in your body. That's absolutely true. But there's no way that all your beautiful memories from your entire life could be stored in a piece of meat, not much bigger than a sheep's brain. There you go. Your mind is a collection of pictures from your past, and you're recording information all the time so that you can use it to solve problems in the future. That's what your mind is. And you're recording information every day about all sorts of different things. And you've got pictures in your mind, and when you close your eyes and you think about a memory, then that's a picture. Okay? Now, there are two types of incidents that don't get stored here, and those two types are called physical pain. Okay? So, for example, if you're in an abusive relationship and your partner beats you, okay? So if you were beaten by your partner, when those moments of physical pain hit in, this part of the mind switches off and the information gets stored in here in a little recording of physical pain. Or if you were, abused by somebody in the past, physically. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe it was a parent. Maybe it was your brother. Okay? These moments of physical pain, of hard physical pain, get stored in this separate compartment here called the reactive mind. And the way it works is that whatever is in here can get triggered by something in present. So for example, if you got knocked down by a car, all right, a red car, a red Toyota Yaris. Let's say you got knocked down by a red Toyota Yaris when you were 10, okay? And you've got this recording here. Then all it would take is a red Toyota Yaris to pass by you at high speed, and without you even realizing it, trigger this off, and then this starts to affect your thinking and then your emotion and so forth, and can cause you to get stressed out. And then you think, you know what, it's the weather. The reason I'm stressed out today is because it's the weather. It's a bad day, it's raining. Or the reason I'm stressed out is because there's too much work. But that's not the reason. The reason is very simply that a red Toyota Yaris passed you that triggered something here and that replayed that incident again. So what I'm saying is that there is a part of your mind which contains moments of physical pain that can get triggered without your consent or without your knowledge, and it can affect the way you think, and it can affect yourself emotionally, what you say and what you do, and how you approach relationships in life. And it's not under your control, it's a push-button thing. So all a narcissist has to do is have an idea about what's in here. Maybe he knows or she knows that Toyota Yaris's, red Toyota Yaris's, freak you out. So what does he go and do? He hires, for a day out, a red Toyota Yaris, knowing that it's going to stress you. Because he doesn't know about this incident, but he knows that red Toyota Yaris's stress you out. So he picks a red Toyota Yaris to stress you out. Alright, red Toyota Yaris's are great, by the way. They're fine cars. But what the narcissist can do is find the things that make you stressed and deliberately press those buttons, because it creates an automatic reaction every single time. So this is why I say to you that the only power a narcissist has over you is their ability to press your buttons. Because if that wasn't there, and the narcissist called you an idiot, you could take that information and you can go, okay, this person, my husband, has just called me an idiot. Okay. The logical thing to do now is to say, hang on a second. You just called me an idiot. I don't think that's a nice thing to say, do you? Good. Okay, so when's the apology coming? Good. So the apology's not coming immediately. Okay, good. Well, I'll tell you what. When you're ready to give the apology, then life can continue. Kind of a logical way to handle it. But instead of that, you get all stressed out, you get really upset, and what's happening here, all they did was press your button. And the reason you lost control and you lose control of it is because that's what this reactive mind is, and that's what it does, is it causes you to lose control of your emotions. Now the second thing here that's contained in here is emotional pain. Okay? And specifically, loss. Because when you experience a heavy loss, when you lose somebody close to you, a boyfriend, a family member, your parent, a child, you have to move country, or you lose an important job, or you fail your exams, these losses also can have a very hard impact. The normal recording shuts off, and the information gets stored here in this separate, it's like an animal part of the mind, it's just reactive. It gets stored in here. So let me give you an example. If you, let's say, you were in a relationship, and you were in love with this guy, and he left you, okay, after 4 or 5 years, and it's a major, major loss, okay? And you've got that loss stored in here with all the pain. And now you're in a new relationship, and this new guy, you thought he was nice, but he's got a few nasty traits, a few narcissistic traits, aspects of his personality. And he knows that just by telling you, I think we should take a break for a while. He knows that he can control you. He knows by just telling you, you get upset too much, or I don't know why I got into this relationship, or I didn't realize you were such a narky person. He knows that by saying these things to you, it will trigger off this one here, you get upset, you become all victim-y, and then you become very apologetic, and you think it's you, and you realize that, yeah, I shouldn't have done it, you're right, I'm a bad person, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have reacted how I did. And they're like having a cup of tea. You're the one getting so stressed out, and they're having a nice cup of tea. And it's just their ability to press your button. So all they have to do is know what's in here. So let's say if the new boyfriend knows that you lost this boyfriend that you were really close to, they could bring it up in a conversation deliberately to trigger it off. Or they might not even know about it, but they know that certain words, certain tones, anger triggers you off. And so he uses that to cause you to react emotionally and to behave irrationally. So, the only power that a truly narcissistic person has over you is their ability to trigger off hidden, packaged away moments of pain and loss. And the extra trouble with this is that these are all connected in chains to earlier incidents, okay? So you might have a loss from your past, but there may be other buried losses connected earlier and similar. So not only can this person trigger off this loss, but they can also trigger off a whole range of connected losses from your past. Because in this reactive mind, all these things are on chains. So for example, in our modules we go over the sessions. In a Dianetics session, you wouldn't just address one incident, you would address a chain of incidents, because usually there's stuff underneath the surface. Okay? Now, so I want to just stop talking for a second. What I'd like to do is I'd like to give you your next practical exercise. What I'd like you to think about is this. Can you give me an example of something that somebody does or says that triggers you off? In other words, is it a tone, a voice tone? Is it anger? Is it a certain set of words? What are the things that somebody says to you, or what are the kind of facial expressions or tones or moods, or what kind of things trigger you off? Just give me 1 or 2 examples of what kind of things make you react. In other words, what are the things that people do that cause you to get so stressed out and to get so into yourself? Okay, introverted, cause you to get introverted. And if you don't mind popping in the chat, that would be most appreciated. Okay. And just pop it into the chat there. Let me just, I'm catching up on the chat here. So you just type in your answers, and I'm going to catch up on what I've missed here. Okay. Okay, great. And there's a conversation going on there. That's fantastic. Yes, Tara. Why do they want to push someone's buttons? That's a whole lecture in itself. In this particular webinar, we're not going to be really talking about this person and what to do or why. We're only going to be talking about how to help you to become stronger. Because look, yeah, there's things to know about this particular situation. But all I want to do, and that's all we have time for tonight, is to help you to build yourself up so you'll be able to handle this and handle future narcissists. Okay? Okay. To get a reaction. Okay, great, guys. All right. Pleasure and hurt. Negative entry inside. They want to make us feel happy. Okay, Veronica. Because, and one thing I want to bring up with you is that what I want you to do, the purpose of my webinar tonight, is to help you to become smarter so that you can win over such a person, so that you can become cleverer and you can kind of be cleverer than they are, in terms of not to make you manipulative, but just to make you more rational and able to handle these types of situations. Okay? Elizabeth, thank you. Yes, Korahiza, we're going to go over that shortly, the cure. I think we're letting too much, okay? Yeah. The private message I got, and I think whoever sent it to me knows they sent it, I'm going to take that up with you directly. Okay? I'm going to send you, it's coming up. It's coming up on something that, because I know you and you've got a little bit of knowledge of the book Dianetics, so it's coming up. All right. Elizabeth, okay. Linda, I'm just going to turn to the age of 4 now. That's when you're in a relationship in your life or torture. Okay, thank you, Linda. I'm glad you are doing well. Okay, Emer, silent treatment of moods, not knowing what you did wrong. Great, yeah. I like that one, Emer, because you never really get to find out, what did I do? What's the problem? No. It's just somebody makes a mystery for you, okay? No, I'm not telling you what you did wrong. You have to guess. Or you're getting the silent treatment, and that's the end of it. So I'm not going to tell you what you did wrong. I'm not going to... And what they do by creating a mystery is that mystery triggers off these mysteries. Because this baggage here is also mysteries. And people are kind of... They get stuck on mysteries. And it is a way of controlling people by giving them a mystery. You just don't tell them what's wrong. But what it does is it triggers off past emotional pain. Because in this reactive mind is just a whole pile of mystery. And people get stuck to mysteries. It's a bit like when you know, in Lidl they have this new thing where they're doing the scratch cards. You know, you can sign up and you do the scratch card. And you just can't wait to find out what's in this thing. It's like you open the box to find out what the mystery is. And people are attracted to those things. Okay. Name calling. Thank you, Rosaline. Lying. Rory, thank you. You're on vacation. You never really want to be a mother. You're just tone. Thank you, Loza. Tanya, name calling, thank you. Here we go again. Understood. Thank you, Korahiza. Yeah, and you know, even if you've got something like that in a narcissistic relationship, if something that somebody says to you upsets you, until you've handled this stuff, and I'll go over with you what the steps you're going to need to do, you can and should say to the person, what you say to me upsets me. Please don't say that again. Please. You know, and if you say it to me again, you're going to get a timeout. Or you're going to have to go into the bowl corner. Or something. Yeah. You have a right to be treated with respect, you know. Thank you very much for that, Korahiza. Tanya saying something, a question, getting angry because of questioning it, and then saying just drop it. Yet they started. Okay, good. And Tanya, one of the things about this is it is useful, like sometimes situations like this can be caused when people aren't acknowledging each other. So one of the things a narcissist will do is just not acknowledge you. Now, of course, you have to be acknowledging and listening as well, and making sure your message is coming across. But one of the things, they just don't acknowledge, and the communication is absolutely terrible. Now, you can have someone who's not a narcissist and whose communication is very bad and can actually create the same effect. So communication problems are an issue, but that again can be handled. In fact, when I train up people to deliver this subject, Dianetics, the therapy, to help others, one of the very basic things we do is get them to do a communication course, because it's vital. It's vital. Okay, Elizabeth, gaslighting, yes. And anybody who hasn't watched it, there is a movie called, it's an old movie called Gaslighting. It's the husband is off doing things behind the wife's back. She suspects him, but then he makes her look like she's crazy and makes her feel like she's crazy. And that's kind of what gaslighting is turning it around on the other person. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Andrea, blaming me. Thank you, using me as a mirror. Annette, gaslighting. Mother always gets a dig in about something I've done for her, despite me doing what she wants. Used my kids as pawns. Okay, thank you very much. Good example. False accusations. Lecturing, Gail, thank you. Lies. I'm gonna just take one word from each of these because there's loads. Hypocrisy, thanks, Olivia. What you said makes no sense, and I don't see your point of view. That's an uneducated answer. How you? Andy, I love that one. Thank you very much. Joan tells me he has told me something, and I doubt myself. Okay, I love that one. Sinead, my mother has turned all the neighbours against me in the area where I grew up. I've been estranged from her. Okay, thank you very much, Sinead. I missed the point. Oh, thank you very much, Korahitza. You missed the point, apparently, always. Okay. And you know what? You have the right to say to the person, listen, when you say those things, it annoys me. So please don't say those things. You have a right to say that back. Darcy, name calling, blame, accusing, questioning over and over. Somebody says you're overreacting. Thank you, Martina. Yes. When I'm labelled. Daniel, negative comments, opinions about women. Yes. Bram, getting labelled. Restrained. Okay. Totally relate to that. Okay. Good. Silent treatment is so painful. Yes. Thank you, Veronica. Veronica. Here's Sinead. Okay. I could tell. Okay. Yeah. If I found if you tell them what upsets you, they use it further against you. Yeah, okay. But still, you have the right to be treated with respect. And that's what I'm saying, is that, you know, the problem is that when you start to put manners on the person or to try to handle it, more of this stuff can get churned up. And so it's not enough just to work out a handling for these people in the future, how to deal with them. It's not enough just to learn tricks or things to do. It's not enough to do that. What's needed is that this stuff gets cleared up, because this is the cause of your buttons and your reactions. It's not to say that you can't get angry sometimes. We should be all free to use our emotions given the circumstance. Okay? If you've got a child and somebody is kicking your child down the street, personally, I would go out and I'd be angry. I would say, just do not do that again. Or, you know, there's a hedge there. Or in a nice way. No, not in a nice way. You know what? If you lose somebody close to you, it's quite natural to feel sad or upset. It's quite natural to get certain emotions given the correct circumstance. It's just when the correct circumstance is not there and you're irrationally reacting, then this is what we're talking about here. Okay. Yes. Psycho. Okay, got it. Thank you, Veronica. I know how to. Okay. All right. Great. And you're having a conversation that's been held. That's completely fine. Okay, folks. Now, so let me just briefly go over this again. The only power a narcissist who wants to suppress you has over you, the only power, is their ability to press the buttons in what we call your reactive mind. And your reactive mind is a package of hidden, suppressed pain that you're carrying around. Now, I'm not saying to you that it's all your fault. It isn't. It's true, they shouldn't be saying what they're saying, and you do have the right to disconnect if things aren't working out. You have the right. But this is the main part of the problem, because even if you get rid of this person in the future, you could meet somebody in a different, let's say a different relationship in the future, who starts behaving a little bit like a narcissist, but isn't one. But then this thing gets triggered and you start reacting to this new relationship as if it's the same person as before, whereas it's not. And this is the problem with the reactive mind. Okay, so now what I want to touch on very briefly, and I go into this on my modules, which I'll explain to you. Why do they want to suppress you? As I mentioned, Elizabeth, this is a whole lecture in itself. So we're not going to talk too much about this person here. We're just really talking about how to build you up and how to make you stronger. And then, Martina, how can you get rid of all that past pain, though? And I'm glad you asked that question, because that leads me on to my next thing. Okay. Now, there is a therapy in this book. It is done with 2 people. Okay? The therapy is done with 2 people. And very briefly, without going into all the basics of it, okay, not here, let's get rid of this. Without going into all the basics of it, because I covered that on my modules where I explain how to make it work. It's basically 2 people, and the procedure is called auditing. Okay? And auditing means to listen. And we run seminars and so forth on that in our centre here regularly to teach people how to do it. And basically what's involved is the person who's receiving the auditing while wide awake is returning to these chains of incidents. Chains, okay? Not just particularly one incident. It's usually we're dealing with a chain of incident in each session. And you use the exact procedure of Dianetics. This isn't just chitter chatter. And the person who's auditing, we call them the auditor, is the person who listens and guides. Okay? And so what this book does is it shows you exactly how to do the procedure of auditing in order to peel off those buried incidents, and so you can find them first of all, and then completely clear them up so that they're not affecting you, and you've got rid of the pain and the upset and the abuse and all that baggage that you're carrying around with you from the past, the upset. So all we're interested in doing is not getting rid of the memory, because like you had the memory, that's it. You want to get rid of the stored pain which is trapped in here, because the narcissist, all they're doing is pressing your buttons, which they know are there. They don't know the content, but they know what makes you react. And the only reason that that stuff is causing you to lose control of your emotions, lose your confidence, lose your self-worth, your value of yourself, your opinion, and it causes you to go into yourself, is because that stuff is there. It's sitting there in your baggage. If that was cleared up, so anybody could come up to you and say, listen, you're an idiot, and you're no good, you're stupid, and you could just look at that and look at it for what it is and go, you know what, that ain't correct. So the very, very first thing to do is to get educated on what this stuff is and how it affects you. And that's why I've put my webinar, or my module together, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. The first step is to get a little bit of education on what's going on with you. Okay? And then once you have that little bit of education, is to get into auditing. And we team up people who are on our modules so that they can audit each other. And they can help each other to clear up the pain. That's the whole idea of it. It's not done solo, and there's a reason for that, which I cover in Module 1. Okay, but anyway, this is the manual that explains the whole thing. Okay, so now what I want to do is we're just gone 9 o'clock, so let me just have a quick look. Sean, saying that no one cares about her, saying something negative and hurtful, and when I object comes about my angry tone. Yes, no emotion because I don't cry in front of her. Okay. You obviously don't. Okay, understood. Thank you very much indeed. So obviously, Sean, you've got certain things that are said to you that trigger you off. Thank you. If you grew up with a narcissist, you have a higher chance of attracting a narcissist your whole life and more. Sinead, the answer to that question is contained in Module 2, which I'll go over. It's basically connected with incidents that happened to you in the past where a strong person gave you sympathy. And I'll go over that in more detail on Module 2. It's too much to go over right now. What about learned behavior? Yeah, I'm going to cover these because I do a little bit of a question and answer in a few minutes. So I'll take up these questions in a few minutes that Helen, that yourself have put in, and Trina. Okay? Tries your trust. Okay, good. Now, folks, so here, I mean, wouldn't it be nice, right, if you could clear up this stuff? Because the problem is, right, if you don't, if you don't do anything about this, I'm talking about the baggage that you're carrying around that keeps getting pressed. If you don't do anything about it, what happens is every time a narcissist stresses you out, it basically adds to the baggage. Okay? Every time you get another upsetting experience, this reactive mind gets bigger. And the bigger it gets, the harder it gets to handle it. So you get to a point, you start thinking, you know what, the problem is me. And it's not. The problem is not you. Okay, so I want to just show you what I've put together. It's a course that I've put together for you to help you to be able to apply what's in this manual and to give you some education. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to share my screen with you now and the course that I deliver, and so I'm going to pop that onto the screen right now. Okay, so here come the slides. Okay, so the first thing, and that slide is going to be coming up now in a sec. Okay, so it's basically the Mind Explained course. That's what I've called it. It's 4 lessons. It's done on Zoom on a Friday night between 8 and 9. It's a kind of a smaller group, so we get a kind of a chance to get more personal examples and so forth. Each module is delivered separately. So I deliver module 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So once you start on the, once you enroll on the course, you'll be starting on module 1. Okay? Now, module 2 is on this Friday, so you'll be starting in 3 Fridays, basically, because I want you to start at module 1 and work your way to module 2, 3, and 4. If you miss one of the modules, don't worry about it, because I do them on a circular basis. So once I finish one module on a Friday night, the next module on the next Friday night, the third module on the third Friday night, the fourth module on the fourth Friday night, then I go back to start number 1 again. So you'll always catch it, because I do them circularly. And if there's a situation where you miss one of the modules and you just can't attend that particular Friday night or whatever, we can always send you the recording. Although honestly, I prefer if people are there live, because it'll make more difference to you and you'll understand it more easily, and you can also ask your questions. So let me just break down the modules for you and I'll just tell you what each module contains. Okay, so the first module is basically what is the mind. And again, I kind of hinted at a little bit about it, but I'll explain it in more detail. What is the mind exactly? All right, and what goes wrong? In other words, what is the exact reason why you sometimes don't think irrationally or you react so easily? Okay, part 2. So in here, we go into the thing that basically started all the trouble, and we get into the basic root of the reactive mind, which affects your negative emotions and your irrational behavior. So there's a certain thing that happens to you, and that kind of starts off these chains of incidents. Okay, part 3. What are the deep effects of losses and traumas in one's life? And by the way, just for anybody who's got questions coming in, I'm going to take up a question and answer period in a few minutes, okay? So bear with me. What are the deep effects of losses and traumas in one's life? Now, losses are roughly around 50% of what's handled in Dianetics and in sessions. It's really, really important. And you'd be surprised at how the losses from your past can affect you in present. So we go over that in more detail, okay? And part 4 then is basically the solution. So the book itself, in book 3, chapter 5, contains the exact 10-step procedure that you use in order to clear up this stuff completely and fully. In this particular module, I'll go over all the basics that you need to have in place in order to make that work properly and effectively. So those are the 4 modules. As I said, I do them circularly. They're done with me personally in a small group on Zoom, and I will be personally taking care to make sure that you understand every module. I'll keep it very simple, lots of examples, and I'll be available for any particular questions that you personally have as we're going along. Okay, so now, next slide is what comes with the actual course. So with the course is the Dianetics Book. All right, so the book actually comes with the course, and this book has been translated into 50 languages and is sent out with free shipping. Now, if you're not a book reader, there is also the Dianetics, How to Use Dianetics DVD. It's a 2-set DVD, 4.5 hours long, 32 mini movies, and it explains all the basics that you're going to need to know from the book. So you can have either one of the other or the other. You can choose to get the book or you can choose to get the DVD. You can just use it on your computer or whatever. Okay? And it's really, really clear and easy to understand. Okay, now for this particular module, anybody who was here at my last webinar, I had a special offer on for the webinar night. We said it was going to be the last week, and that's been extended until this week. So this week is basically the absolute last week. Last week was definitely the last week, but this week is definitely the last week because we had a lot of interest in it. Okay, so the next slide, I'm going to show you that this book is also included. This book is called Self-Analysis. It was written by the author after he wrote the Dianetics book because some people didn't have a partner to work with. And this also prepares you to start getting into some of this nasty stuff here. When I say nasty stuff, I don't mean, okay, it's not always easy to handle, but it's necessary to handle it. But self-analysis, it contains a full chart where you can assess your own personality before and after. And it's got 90% of it is practical, so it's got loads and loads of techniques that you can use on a daily basis, which basically help you to recover your memory, your happiness, and your ability. So it's very light auditing. It's not the heavy stuff in Dianetics, because Dianetics are digging in. Whereas self-analysis is kind of to prepare you for this, and you can do it on your own. So that is included with the actual course itself. All right? And so it's good to have those manuals. Now, so normally, in terms of cost-wise, I'm just going to show you the next slide, which is these are what they would usually cost if you were to get them kind of individually. It would be 20 euros for the course, and the book would cost 20 euros, and the self-help book, self-analysis, would be normally 57 euros. All right? So that's what it would, and also, by the way, the books are sent to you with free shipping. Okay, you don't have to pay for shipping. So for tonight, if you enroll on it tonight, and this is basically to encourage people to get going on it, because sometimes when people start thinking, I'll think about it and whatever, it just goes on for too long and then they forget about it and don't do anything to improve their lives. So this is kind of to encourage you to get going on it straight away. If you enroll on it tonight, and there'll be a link going up for it shortly, the cost is 20 euros for everything. And that basically means all the 4 modules of the course, the Mind Explained course with me, and the Dianetics book or the DVD, plus the self-analysis book. And those books are sent to you with free shipping, and the Dianetics book, as I said, is translated into 50 languages, so you can pretty much get it in whatever your language is, pretty much. So that's the thing. Now the offer is there, and it'll be on until the end of this webinar. And I usually end this webinar around 9:30, roughly around 9:30. So it'll be there for the next 20 minutes. If you want to avail of it, click on the link and just get yourself enrolled. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be answering anybody's questions that you have on the course or anything that we've covered tonight, and maybe give you a little bit of a story or two about how I got interested in this and what benefit I have seen from it with other people as well. Okay, so that is the course. And look, I would really, really encourage you to do it, because the reason I want you to do it this way and not to go straight into the auditing is because the very first step is education. It's best to know before you go. And what these modules do is they give you the knowledge about yourself so that things click and you start to understand things more. And even after the modules, you'll find yourself just becoming that bit more stable, just in terms of what you know. And then after that, whether you want to continue or not, they will at least give you that stability. Look, if all this course did was help you to be able to deal with narcissists and be able to achieve your goals in spite of narcissists, I think it'd be worth it. Don't you? What about this? If all it was doing was helping you to get rid of the pain from your past, and so that you could move on from your past, I think that would be worth it too. So it is valuable, it's an education step, it's very straightforward, and I'll be personally making sure to take care of you so that you understand everything. And I'll answer any questions that you have while we're on the modules. Okay, so I'm going to go through the questions now. That link will be going, it's already up there, so please, it'll be up there for the next 20 minutes. I would love that everybody who's on the webinar tonight enrolls on it, and then we'll get you scheduled for your first module and make sure that you're on track, okay? Now, so I'm just going to pop in and have a look at the questions. Okay, Sean, I read that comment of yours. Let's see. Okay, Sinead, I think. Oh yeah, I did cover that, but as I mentioned, that's going to be in Module 2, Sinead. Okay. What about learned behavior? When we're talking about learned behavior, we're really talking about the normal part of your mind. Actually, maybe you can expand on that, Helen, about kind of how it relates, if you don't mind. Just pop in when you ask the question, what about learned behavior? What do you mean in terms of what is it relating to? Is it relating to the narcissist or relating to you dealing with the narcissist? Would you mind just clarifying that? That would be great. Martina, it would be nice to get rid of all that old baggage so it doesn't affect a new good relationship. Exactly, Martina. And the whole point of this is to help you to get a fresh start. People talk about, you know what, I'm going to get a fresh start. And so they move country, or they move relationship, or they move job, or they move town. And that's fine, except what you carry with you is this stuff. The pain from the past. It's not something that you can leave at home while you go on holidays. You take it with you. So the real way to get a fresh start is to clear up this stuff, get rid of the pain, and recover yourself and your ability and your happiness. So it was a really good comment that you made there, Martina. I'm glad you did. Okay, Trina, is that why people self-harming or overdose? There is an actual chapter in this book. What is the chapter? It's in book 1 anyway. There are 3 books in this book, book 1, book 2, and book 3. So in book 1, it talks about an emotional scale, which when a person reaches those lower levels, it can cause people to start wondering what's the point in life. And so it is definitely beneficial to learn about how that comes about and what you can do to help such a person. Okay, Trina? It destroys your trust in anyone. That's why you can't let other people into your life. Yeah, exactly. Because, Bridget, a person hasn't recovered from the letdowns that they've had. So as soon as a new relationship comes in, that wall is there. But that wall is being kept in place by this reactive mind. It doesn't mean that you haven't learned. Of course you would have learned. You're not going to trust every single Joe Blow that comes along the street. But at least you will be more logical and be able to think clearly about this new relationship and be able to assess it correctly. Okay? Good. All right. Message from Sean. Okay. It's typical behavior of narcissism. Miscarriage. My mother told me to get over it and stop milking it. Yeah. I mean, some people can say things that are very upsetting. So thank you, Sinead. Okay, Veronica. To go within and heal our own past unconscious. Yeah, Elizabeth, and that's the whole point of this, is to completely clear this up. And people say, oh, it must be very complicated. It's not. Once you know the basics and what you're doing, and you know what to do, and you've got the reason why you're doing it, then it's much easier to go that road. So thank you very much, Elizabeth. Okay. Okay. Martina, will the online courses be recorded if not suitable to there every? Yes. So the modules are all recorded. So if you do miss a module, and honestly I'd prefer if you were there live, but if you do miss one, you can get the recording of one of those modules. Okay? Helen, do you recommend book or DVD? Hand on heart, I recommend both, honestly. I do recommend both, because the book has got absolutely everything in it. But you know, some people aren't book readers. They're just not book readers. And so for some people, it's easier and more straightforward to watch the DVD. What I love about both of them is that you can read a chapter or two of the book, and then you can watch the actual movie that relates to that chapter. So you not only get the words, but you also get the visual as well. So you get a complete understanding of it. So to be honest with you, I recommend both. But so I can't tell you which one is best. It depends on, if you're a book reader, then definitely the book. And if you're not a book reader, then definitely the DVD. But honestly, both of them together is absolutely very valid and very useful. Okay. Great, Emer. Delighted. Look forward to seeing you on the first module. Martina, how long is the class? It's 1 hour long, roughly, if you can stop me talking at 9 o'clock. It's from 8 to 9, And normally I'm very sharp. 8 o'clock I'll start, 9 o'clock I'll finish. It might go for a minute or two after, a couple of minutes after 9 if I can finish the sentence, but usually it's bang on the button, so 1 hour exactly. Okay? Okay, Rosaline. Yeah, I mean, if there's an issue with signing up, you can just contact Sylvia and she will be able to help you with that. Okay, thanks, Sylvia. Okay, Helen, relating to me mirroring some of my mother's behaviour, how she used to speak to my dad. Yes, okay. You will learn about that. There is a section in the book, and we covered this a little bit in Module 2, but I can refer you to a particular section of the book, Helen, that explains a lot more about this and why it is that people can start to take on the traits of their parents and why kids often turn into their parents in a roundabout way. Okay? Martina, how does the auditing process, how does that work, or will that be in the course? The full auditing process, as I explained, is in the book. It's in Book 3, Chapter 5. It explains all the steps of the procedure. Now, the modules themselves, the course, what we'll be going over on the solution is all the basics that you need to have in place for that purpose. Now look, on the 4 modules in 4 hours, we're not going to be able to cover everything. All I want to do is give you the basics so that you'll know how to start and how to get going. All right? But when you get to the solution section, I will guide you and show you what you need to do to get going on it. So it's very straightforward, and we can even make it very much easier for you. And if there's any help that you need with arranging somebody to be audited with, or to audit somebody and for them to audit you, we can help you with that. And we do Dianetics seminars in here regularly and so forth. So don't worry about that. It can be helped. But just the first thing is just to get the basic knowledge first, and then you'll be wiser. You'll know what to do once you get to Module 4. Okay? I'm trying to get the DVD in course, and it shows 20 euros, but then it shows 2 other higher prices. Okay, Veronica. It should only be 20 euros, and it is only 20 euros for the cost of the course. So, Veronica, if you're having any trouble with that, send a message to Sylvia, and she will help you out with that. Okay? Oh, Sylvia's hopping in there. She's fast, so she's answering the questions there as we're going along. What's next? Does auditing have to be done in person, and what is the charge? I think probably to answer that question, Martina, it is done with 2 people, but there's different levels of it. Like, for example, on the modules, we're going to go over the basics that you need, because anybody can audit people using the techniques in the book. As we move up on the levels in terms of training, we then go for seminars, and then we go for professional auditing. So somebody who's a professionally trained Dianetics auditor. So there's different kind of levels of it. But don't let that kind of consideration stop you at the beginning, because once you kind of know where you're going, you'll have more of an idea about what path is taken, you know. There is a bit of work to do on it, but it's worth it. It's valuable, and it has to be done with somebody else. But as I mentioned, before you get a partner, you can also use the techniques in the self-analysis book on yourself, so that you can get benefit there yourself as well, even without the auditing. But then it's kind of prepping you to get into auditing, you know. Okay? Very good. Trina, glad you liked it. Choose the book if the DVD is giving you trouble. Okay. Okay, Bram, good. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. A whole loads of conversations going off there in the middle. Oh, Loza, you joined. Fantastic. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you. Jennifer, thank you very much. She's probably gone now, but thank you very much for being here. How long will the book take to be delivered? It's sent out immediately. Like, basically we package it up the next day and send it off. And it's normally, like, if it's within Ireland, a few days. Not long anyway, but we'll stay in touch with you until you get it. It's very, very fast anyway. So we'll send it out basically immediately. It does depend on the speed of the shipping, but generally very, very fast. Okay? So I hope that helps. Martina. Okay, Rosaline, see you. Andy, trouble with the course? Yeah. So anyway, Sylvia's going to sort you out. Helen, reading this course to try to cope, heal, and fantastic, Helen. Well, look forward to seeing you on the module. Okay. Veronica's saying it's still 55, book and course, nothing changed. Okay. Good. All right, Veronica, don't worry. Sylvie will sort you out. Okay. And she says she'll call you. Okay, so that's perfect. Olivia, no problem. Elizabeth, you are very welcome. Excellent. Sylvia, shipping 1 to 2 shipping days. Now, the person who sent me the private message, so somebody sent me a private message. So the person who sent me the private message, I know you know who you are. Can you let me know if you want me to take that up with you at another time, like on the modules, or if you want me to address it? Like, can I read out what your question was on the actual, like now, and address it for you now? Is that okay? Just let me know if it's okay. Anyway, what I want you to know is let me know can I read it out and can I address it live now, or would you rather wait until I was on the modules with you and I can address it with you personally? So if you don't mind clarifying that, the person who sent me the direct message. Oh, great, thank you very much. Now I've got to go back and find it. Okay. All right, just bear with me for a second. I'm scrolling. Bear with me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me see. I'm playing. Can we play some background music while I find this previous message? I just don't like to read out messages that are sent to me personally because it's a personal message. But if it's on the broad chat, then it's completely fine. Let me see. There's just been so many comments, and you've all been amazing, by the way. I really appreciate all your messages. Good. Okay. So here we go. It's okay. So here we have. Looking at my past, looking at my father controlling my mother, as he knew she was having something with the neighbour, and used to run her down with pure jealousy and hit her. Does that make him a narcissist? As I was the same dose, that make me one. I'm very confused. Okay, now there's a couple of things that can happen. A person to be a narcissist has got, let's just read you out a couple of the basic traits of a narcissist. And this is taken directly from the Oxford Dictionary, okay? So we have narcissist meaning somebody who is selfish, feels they deserve special treatment, a lack of empathy, a need for admiration, controlling others, making a person doubt themselves, and also this thing called gaslighting, which is basically, trying to make the person out that they're crazy. So the truth of the matter is that, as I mentioned during the webinar, people can, because they're being affected by their reactive mind, they can react in all sorts of irrational ways. All right? All sorts of crazy ways. And there's more about that in the Dianetics book, about how these incidents can cause a person to react. Now, let's say if in life, this person, as a dad, let's say if in life, this person is getting affected by their reactive mind and they're screaming at their partner, okay? They're screaming at their partner. That doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it okay. Oh yeah, listen, you're being affected by your past now, so that's grand that you called me an idiot in 4 different languages. All right? It doesn't make it okay. But definitely there's something there that can trigger off and can cause a person to say and do things that they don't honestly mean. And they're just not being very rational. They're not thinking clearly. They just say it, and usually they'll regret it later. Now, if this stuff is constantly on top of the person, what can happen is this behavior can be more consistent. All right? It can be more regular and so forth. Now, if you have a child growing up in that environment, and he's looking at daddy doing all this stuff, from a learning, kids usually learn by copying their parents. It's just the way kids learn how to walk. They follow their parents, and they take on the mannerisms of their parents purely from a learning perspective. So this kid growing up looks at the dad and goes, okay, so now I've learned, that's how you treat a woman. You scream at them night and day, and you call them all sorts of ways. So then this person can start to use that information from what they've learned by observation, because that's what they've learned. Okay, so that can definitely affect it, and that can cause a person to behave like a parent. But also, what's usually the case is that usually the kid has got their own package of losses as well. So, for example, when they see this happening, it all often causes the person to have a loss because they think their parents are going to split up. So they try to keep the parents together, and it's a big loss. So as the child is viewing all this, all these attacks in the relationship, they're building up their own reactive mind. And because some of those incidents contain dad screaming, when it gets reacted, it can cause the child in later life to start behaving in the same way. And they don't really mean it, and again, it doesn't mean it's okay either, but it can cause them to start reacting like that. So the solution to both of these scenes is the dad clears up the pain, and the child clears up the pain. Because the dad could say, well, she pressed my buttons, and that's why I'm reacting. But really and truly, you can't really use it as an excuse. You call your wife an idiot every second hour of the day. It's just not nice. It's not beneficial. And it just shouldn't be done. It's as simple as it shouldn't be done. As simple as that. The source of it is this. So you just have to kind of restrain yourself, and you know that what you want to do is call her an idiot. You know it's wrong, so just don't do it, and get yourself some auditing. So that's the solution. Okay. So I hope that helped you. I hope I helped answer that question. And in any event, you can always send me, while we're on the modules on the course, a personal message, and I will clear that up for you. Okay. Let me see. Good, Darcy, you're welcome. Sean, the only thing here for me is that my ex's close family are into their auditing. She does one herself too. The only thing here is that for me, my ex's close family are into auditing. Okay, yeah, obviously they need more work, Sean. They need more work on their own auditing. Okay, because sometimes it's it's wise. Like, I don't know if you've already checked this subject out or not. It's wise for you to get your own knowledge of what this is about, so that you know yourself. And I will, like, if you haven't studied this subject before, and if you're interested in the modules, I will personally take care of answering any questions that you have while you're on the module. But the first thing is just to get started yourself. If you haven't read or studied this subject before, get yourself enrolled on the modules, and I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you and answer any questions that you have. Okay, and start an argument when she wants to go out as fear. Yes, okay, understood. Personal message? Understood. Look, that can all be addressed with auditing, and as you start to clear up your auditing, God, I feel like a weather forecaster here. Moving in the left front. As you start to address your auditing, things become clearer, and you start to realize yourself, instead of somebody else telling you you're wrong all the time, you start to realize yourself, you know what? I now see why this is. You kind of get these realizations. And so as you start clearing up this stuff, you have more and more realizations, concrete, stable realizations about yourself and your life. That's going to give you stability. That's going to help you to move forward in your life, So that is the key, clearing up this stuff here. Get you back to yourself again, just like when you were a kid, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, folks, so we're at the end of the module now. Thank you so much. Okay, Corahisa. Okay, Sylvia, you got a message there from Corahisa. It just got in there at the 9:30, so you're going to have to handle that one there. We're not going to argue over a minute. So can you just let Corahisa know that they'll be all right and they can enroll as well? Because I don't... Okay, good. Thank you, Sylvia. So Corahisa, it's fine. You're taken care of. Okay, folks. Wonderful. So I'm going to say goodnight to you all. I want to say thank you very much for anybody who's still with us on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Thank you so much for your time and your attention tonight, and for giving me the chance to tell you about this information. And for everybody who's left on Zoom, okay, great. Got your message? Got you, Linda. You're welcome, Corahitsa. Great, Veronica. Look forward to seeing you. Anna, you're welcome. Veronica is sorted, great. Look, Sylvia is given 5 more minutes because there's just too much interest. So she's going to leave it open for a few minutes. And in any event, when I close off this module, the little link is going to be on there for a couple of more minutes, and then she'll take it down. Okay, folks. So I'll just say thanks to everybody else who's there. Sean, thank you so much for being here. Declan, Corahisa, Emer, Rosaline, Gail, Carol, Divya, Loza, Andy, Selena, Veronica, Linda, KK, Helen, and Anna. Look, folks, thank you so much for being here. and have a beautiful rest of your evening, and I look forward to meeting all of you on your first module, and thanks very much for enrolling, and you're welcome Carl, you're welcome Veronica, looking forward to seeing you all, you're welcome Martina, and Emer, looking forward to chatting to you soon. Okay folks, so I'm going to sign off myself. The chat will be still open with the link for the next 3 minutes if you want to enroll. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. Bye for now.